Hi, and welcome to another edition of, I do have one of those. Another edition of the Ernie Pyle Museum Podcast, World War II Museum Podcast. I am president of JLJ Media, and I'm a host also sometimes of the podcast, James Lott Jr. And I'm honored to have my guest that I have on today. He is, so the museum, as we talked about on the show forum, is governed by the Friends of Ernie Pyle. That's the whole situation there. And as maybe you know, I've been to the museum several times. I know a guy from Los Angeles has been to the museum and loved it several times. And I'm talking to one of the persons who's on the board that governs the actual museum. And he's actually the president. So I go to the top, folks. When I bring you on guests, I go to the top. And he's a really nice guy, and I love working with him. But now we're actually meeting Mr. Steve Key. Hi, Steve.
Hi, how are you doing today?
It's my pleasure. I'm fine. Just so everybody know, my voice is coming in. I spoke a lot yesterday, so I'm drinking my tea, and I'm trying to get it back together. See, I'm gonna get it back together. We're gonna work it out. I want to say before we start talking to him, and I want him to hear this also. This podcast has been around for 3 or 4 years now. Thanks to Doug Hess, who is your normal host and producer of the show. Brought it to my attention. I had no idea. I would have not known anything, and it wasn't for Doug Hess. This last week, I just have to I have over 60, 70 shows in this network. Last week, it was one of my top 5 shows.
Great.
This isn't the first time, Steve. It's not the first time. The show was number 1 for 3 days last week in a row. We have thousands of downloads of this show and hundreds of views, and I was amazed at first, but now I kind of get it. There are World War II enthusiasts. There are Ernie Pyle fans. There are journalist enthusiasts and fans. So when I say this out loud, Steve, that we're this. I mean, I have shows like I have Star Wars. I got soap operas. I got everything. And I'm telling you, there were 3 days like this show was number 1 out of all those shows and one of my top 5 shows. How does it make you feel when you hear
that? Puts the pressure on me. Hopefully I won't kill the ratings today.
Yeah, you won't. But in all seriousness, because this is a very niche show, and from a small town in Indiana, but we're having success with it. And I am really curious. I didn't get a chance to ask any of you guys how you feel about that. I'm just really curious. How do you feel about that?
Well, it probably speaks more to Ernie Pyle than anything we specifically have done, because he is such a unique historical figure, and the more that we all learn about him, the more I learn to appreciate what kind of an individual he was.
I can say the same thing. Me, as a person who lives in Los Angeles, California, who's never heard of my entire life, but I went to school for journalism, so I appreciate I'm impressed. I'm here impressed and everything. The more this show goes on, I fall in love with him and what he stood for, what he did for the soldier, for the family, for the everyman, and I just never. I love the power of that a podcast can do that, actually, right? That we can do that. And your museum is doing that, right?
Well, we try. That's our mission, is to preserve the legacy of Ernie Pyle. And we think that, he becomes a timeless figure because he was the successful advocate for combat pay. And the Congress passed the Ernie Pyle bill in 1944 to create that policy, and it has continued ever since.
Yeah, I think people, what it tells me, and I always say this because I've been in this business almost 20 years, the press entertainment business, and I always say that. It sounds like a cliche, folks, but it's so true. Everyone has a story, right? There are billions of stories out there. You may see a name on a bill, and I have no idea who that person is. I almost wish, because doing this podcast, I could do a podcast for everybody. It's like we have this person, that person, and really, because this one we really delve into the many sides of Ernie Pyle, and your museum shows, childhood artifacts, things about his parent. It's just kind of, comprehensive look at his life. You guys are always striving for that, right? And so I think it's great that a podcast can do that.
And his legacy, as far as everyone has a story goes. Before he became the World War II correspondent, he spent several years crossing the United States, Canada, Central and South America, doing 6 columns a week on just people he came across, and it wasn't celebrities or famous people or anything like that. It was just you and I and anybody else he ran into, but he could dig out the story that each of them had.
I was shocked when I found out. I think it was like the second year doing this podcast. I learned of that he has a presence in Central California. There are many schools named after him. There's this huge presence. I learned about later why in New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
It was just Indiana. So, and if you listen to this podcast, you'll know why. Different reasons why those are big. But I thought, wow. So his message and his being has spread across to several other states in this country. It was very interesting.
Well, and multiple generations. Charles Kuralt and his On the Road series, that was inspired by Ernie Pyle. I'm also involved with the Indiana Journalism Hall of Fame, and our latest induction class included Monty Hayes, who was a longtime Associated Press correspondent from Central America. And unbeknownst to me, he walked up there to receive his honor, holding the Home Country book that has columns by Ernie Pyle, and basically said that was his inspiration and his Bible, and that he had carried that book with him, all during his years as a foreign correspondent, and that Ernie Pyle had inspired him to get into journalism. So not only did he have such an impact, in the 40s and 30s, but his impact continued over for decades afterwards, after his death.
Yeah, it's still impacting. A friend of mine who's into World War II history goes to this huge conference every year. It's a World War II conference. And when I mentioned Ernie Pyle, he went, I goes, wait, you're doing a podcast about Ernie Pyle? Like, he knew who Ernie Pyle was. He was like, you? I go, I know. Like, Doug Hess brought it to me. And I go, I've actually been to Dana, Indiana. And like, you have? I go, I know I have. In the cornfields, I was scared. But I did go. I went. And I said, I had the best time to go. There was a great guide there. She was so wonderful. I had a great time. There's some other folks on this. I joined the tour. Did all that. I bought some stuff. I did the whole thing. I had a great time. I said, it was fun. And I said, yes. And our channel, it literally is one of our crown jewels in our channel. It just is. And you never know, right? You never know what people are hungry for, and what everybody has hobbies, and they have things they like. And this is something he fits into that, doesn't he?
Yes, and my own introduction to Ernie Pyle would have been as a grade schooler, maybe 5th, 6th, 7th grade or whatever, picking up a book of brave men at the local library, and I didn't know who Ernie Pyle was at the time, but I was into history, World War II, and things along those lines, and that was my introduction. And then it's the interest in him has grown over the years as myself became a journalist, and then became involved with the Friends of Ernie Pyle at the point where the state of Indiana was considering closing the museum, and but the Friends stepped in, and with support across the state from newspapers and all, the state then decided, well, we won't close it. We'll turn the keys over to the Friends of Ernie Pyle, and fortunately, we've been able to operate in the black every year of our operation, even though we're talking a all volunteer group with no real museum operating experience, but it's been very gratifying to be associated with the Friends of Ernie Pyle.
I want people to know, if you have not been there yet, and I've been there several times. As you said, they had no idea how to run a museum. It's well done, folks. And I think it just goes to show, if you have a passion or something you want to do, you can figure it out. You really can, right? You can figure it out. I mean, like, nothing's impossible, and you guys still get artifacts and get things donated to the museum. Like, it's not like it's just. I think anybody, you have an idea, like, at least figure it out. See what you can do. I mean, that's what they did. And I said, I literally have been there, and it's great. There's great upkeep. It's really nice, and I'm glad you started. So you segued into how you found out about it. 'Cause I was say in Indiana in school, did you learn about him? You said you got a book at the library. But when did you decide to go into journalism? Let's talk about you for a second. When did you decide to go into journalism? Because I loved writing. I was a writer since I was a kid. So I was like, I know what I want to do when I grow up.
I can't say that it struck me like a lightning bolt when I was a kid or anything, but when I was in high school in Indianapolis, got involved with the school newspaper, the Howe Tower, and from there, when I decided to go to college, ended up at Butler University, and decided to major in journalism. It was kind of a safe choice because with the classes or whatever, if it didn't work out, I wouldn't have lost many of the credit hours switching to something else. But the more I was involved with it, got involved with the Butler Collegian, the newspaper there, and it kind of, as you know, the ink gets in your veins and it just grows and grows. There was always something gratifying when the day the paper or the Collegian pick came out, and you'd see the stacks and students going by and everybody grabbing a newspaper. So it kind of just grew and grew, and I was fortunate enough to get my degree at Butler, and then worked for 13 years at various newspapers in Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky. Eventually ended up as the general manager of the Noblesville Daily Ledger, just north of Indianapolis, and then pivoted, tried a couple of years at public relations, but decided that really wasn't what I wanted to do. And so with the support of my wife, Gail, I ended up in law school. And when I came out of law school, I got connected with the Hoosier State Press Association, which represents the state's paid circulation newspapers, and spent 30 years there, eventually retiring in 2022 as their executive director and general counsel.
Okay, let's stop there for a second, because what you just did, I think it's amazing. I knew your history, your work history. You started out in journalism on one side of it, but then you ended up working back in journalism on another side of it. So you really you stayed in it. You basically stayed in it.
Yeah, I kid people and tell people I managed to get all three professions that a lot of people don't like: journalists, lawyers, and lobbyists.
That's so true. That's so true. Oh my God, I love it. That's true. Wow.
But covered or represented the newspaper industry for 30 years at the Indiana General Assembly. With the main thing we were looked at upon was issues of the public's right to know. Whether it's government records or the right to attend everything from city council meetings to state agency meetings. So I was very lucky in my career that I got to do things that I believed in and enjoyed, and working for the museum is the same. Ernie Pyle's message about war and people is something that it's very gratifying to kind of help spread that message to people and hopefully keep it alive for future generations.
I agree. One of the things that you said, something that just made me smile, because I got out of college and I was living in a place called Sacramento. It was the state of California. I was in Sacramento. And I got my first job out of college, which was the Sacramento Union. It was a newspaper.
Okay, yeah.
And I was so excited. And it was a junior copy editing. It was starting low. It was like low. I was like, we'll get you, like, come on, kid, we'll get you in here, we'll get you started, we'll move you up or whatever. I was like 20, 21 years old. I was so excited. And I think these generations who are watching now who have no idea what a newspaper is, it was like the goal, right? For me, it was, as a journalist, was like to get on a paper. And I was like, and to see my name in the bottom, it was like there was nothing. It was a natural high that my friends and family could read something with my name on it. And I thought that was something that you just said something like that earlier. Like it was exciting. It was very exciting. Paper closed. I was there till it closed. They closed years later, but it was like, wow. And I think the other day I saw a newspaper here in LA, and it was like this then. Everything's online now, but I just maybe smile, maybe kind of go, wow. I remember the day of newspapers, and it was just that was one of the goals. And the Associated Press was a big, it's like, oh my god, if you get on there. But see, I had two dual things. I also wanted to do radio, so I had this voice. So I kind of now do both on some level now, as I'm a podcaster, an interviewer, that kind of thing. So I'm using it now. But when you said that, I just remember getting a job at a newspaper. And I'm thinking, journalists today have no idea. The young ones have no idea what that's like to get that job, and you get to see something that you wrote, like you said, when it comes out. And I was a person at any job I had after that, because I had a couple of jobs that were not in the field, but they would have company newsletters. I was always the one who went to run them. So every week I put out. I had fun. I loved that. You're right. It's in your veins. I loved it.
Well, I mean, and as you said, they don't realize that in World War II, I mean, there was no TV, so you had radio, but radio was kind of a growing thing.
Right.
But newspapers were where people got their information about what was going on in the community. I remember one weekly publisher in Indiana told me once. He said, "People don't read my newspaper to find out what's going on; they read it to find out who got caught."
It still works today on TV, right? Everybody's looking at it on online, right? Looking for the gossip and what's going on and who did this and who did that. Exactly. I like that. But it's true. I don't know. I miss that era. I don't want to get too nostalgic, but I miss that era. But this podcast is a nostalgia podcast on some level too. We've had great guests on here and stuff. Since you've been a part of the Ernie, actually, that's what I got to find out. How did you get on to the Friends of Ernie Pyle? I guess that's the piece I need to know. How did you get involved that way?
Well, as I mentioned, I was with the Hoosier State Press Association, and when the news came out that the Indiana's Department of Natural Resources were looking to close the museum, and obviously the Friends were up in arms, didn't want to see this happen, and because of our newspaper connection, we got involved, and I testified at the hearing for the Department of Natural Resources, and that's where I met Phil Hess and Cynthia Myers, and I think Joni Rumpel was there also. Some of the people who were involved with the board at the time, and after we were successful in blocking the closure of the museum, the board reached out to me and asked if I'd like to be a member of the board, kind of representing HSPA, and so I did that, and they just haven't been able to get rid of me since then. So luckily for me, so it's been very good, and this year's a special year because there's so many different anniversaries involved. Yes. With the 50th anniversary of them, the Friends of Ernie Pyle getting together and actually saving the birthplace when it was basically an abandoned wreck, but it was about to be bulldozed, and the Elder family offered and said, "Hey, if you want to save it, now's the time." And the Friends of Ernie Pyle, formed by different groups in Dana, got together and made it happen 50 years ago. This was the year, the 125th anniversary of Ernie's birth, the 80th anniversary of his death. So a lot of things are coming together this year, and so we're very excited. I'm assuming Doug has told you, but on Veterans Day, we'll be unveiling a bronze statue of him on the grounds, and very excited about that. Bill Wolf, the Clinton, Indiana artist who created the statue, I have seen it, and it's not just a likeness of Ernie. I mean, he has captured some of Ernie's personality. When you see the expression on Ernie's face, you'll know that he's captured part of Ernie. So very excited about that ceremony coming up on Veterans Day.
I wish I could be there. I'm stuck here doing some stuff, but I wish I could be there. I'll be there in spirit, of course, for that. I'm excited about that. So when I come next, I can go visit it and see it in person. So, folks,
That's right.
I will show you guys it when I get there at some point. That's very exciting. Yeah, we celebrated all the anniversaries on the show. We celebrated. It's been, yeah, you guys have had a lot of events this whole year. I mean, you guys have been busy. Busy this year.
Yeah, I wish I could take some of the credit, but it's really some of the board members that live in the Dana area. I still live in Indianapolis, so I'm a couple hours away. But people like Becky Holbert, Doug Hess, Roxanne Scott, Brenda Chubb. I'm not sure I'm going to miss people. Max Jones. A lot of the board members who live right in the area. They're the ones who make the events happen. They're the ones who are putting the hours in, with volunteering to make things happen. So it's really a great board, and I'm lucky to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's very good. I want to thank you for your time, of course, for being on here. I mean, you are, like I said, the president of Friends of Ernie Pyle, and folks, if you don't know, they sponsor this podcast. We're here because of them, and we really appreciate all the work we do together. We really appreciate it. It's, like I said, it's one of the crown jewels of my network. I had no idea that it'd become that, but I'm glad I took a chance, and I'm glad I was able to. And again, I was glad I was able to go and see it several times in person. So now I have a personal connection to it too, and I want to see it continue to flourish and keep going. Is there any? I always ask this, because you can put it out in the universe. Is there anything you would like for the museum to have happen? And is there anything left you'd like to have something? Is there anything big, small? Doesn't matter what it is. Just something you would like to have happen at the museum.
Well, I mean, we are in the process of one of our biggest projects, which the statue is part of, and that's the creation of the Ernie Pyle and Veterans Memorial Park, located right on our north edge of the current birthplace location, the Quonset huts where the museum is. And it's a big project, takes a lot of funding. So, we're the statue going up and creation of some permanent ADA accessible restrooms are part of phase one, but there are the additional phases that will include a covered performance stage, a display of flags of all the armed services, some educational components, a healing garden of all Indiana native plants, an educational World War II victory garden, but it takes money and funding, and so we've got the point where we're able to do phase one, but I'd like to see the park totally completed, and so hopefully people will come and see us. Hopefully they'll consider donations or grants to the Friends of Ernie Pyle so we can complete that project and be even a greater source of pride for the Dana community, Vermilion County. But beyond that, we always hope to be able to collect more artifacts. As you said, in the last couple of years, we were able to get as a gift from the Indiana World War memorials the rubberized canvas bag that Ernie used to carry his sleeping bag from spot to spot. A doctor in Carmel, Indiana, donated a short snorter, which you could almost do I think you've done an episode on the short snorter, but with his, would have to be one of his later autographs, because he wrote on the dollar bill 3 weeks before he died, but it also contains the autographs of heavyweight champion Jack Dempsey, actor and director Jackie Cooper, World War II correspondent Robert Sherrard, and AP photographer Chuck Gorey. So it must have been some party that they had on the little island or atoll of Ulithi before the Okinawa invasion. And what's interesting, out of all the people who signed it that we've been able to identify, Ernie was the only one who didn't make it to the end of the war. Everybody else survived except for Ernie, who signed that dollar bill at that party. And in March of 1945.
Side note, folks, just a little. I got to meet Jackie Cooper in his later years.
Oh.
I have his autograph. Just a weird. I don't have very many autographs. I'm not big about autographs. I used to meet him through a friend and who knew him, and I got to sit and talk with him a little bit, and it was great. And I have his autograph. So this is one of those. So you said, I was like, oh, I know him too. That's I know him. I don't know him, no, but I know I got to meet him, and he was very gracious. He was great. So that's kind of funny you said that. I actually have that too.
Yeah, we Ruth Whitmer, who's on our board, tracked down and found in Getty Images. There's a picture of at that party where this the short snorter was signed of Ernie standing with somebody playing a accordion, another individual, and Jackie Cooper. It looks like they're like singing a song or something at the party. No. And apparently everybody's having a good time. It looks like somebody has spilt a drink or something because Ernie's standing and he's got stains all over the front of his uniform. It was, according to Robert Sherrard, everybody got drunk. Everybody had a good time, and it was a very unusual party because they actually had 70 nurses from some of the hospital ships that were at the staging area before the invasion, and so they were invited to the party. So, in fact, Robert Sherrard says that the doctors on the hospital ships were very upset because the nurses didn't make it back to the ships until 5 a.m. the next morning.
They had a good time. They had a good time. Well, they did.
Yep.
Yes. That's fine. Thank you so much. I want to thank Ruth Whitmer for the logo. I want to thank Steve for putting us in touch with her. I'll make sure I take that on camera. And I think she did put it together for us. And now we're much more in line with how your look is at the. I love it. We're all on the same page. I love the same page.
We appreciate that. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Steve, for your time. You're great.
Well, thanks for having me, and thanks for continuing with the podcast with Doug. Hopefully it'll have a long run, and hopefully successful, and hopefully I haven't killed the ratings for you with this episode.
You're gonna love it. You took some good stuff. You're gonna love it. And folks, again, it's because of you. I mean, for the museum and for this podcast, it's you out there, and we would not be here. Neither would be here without you out there. And so we want to thank you personally and professionally for tuning into the podcast, looking at the museum, going to the museum. It's again, like I said, we love doing it. And we could continue doing it for a long time. So, folks, if you are first here and you're like, what is this? We have lots of episodes, you guys. If you want to do audio, go to like Apple, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever you find audio podcasts. You can find it there under Ernie Pyle World War II Museum Podcast. It's right there. Made it easy for you. JLJ made it very easy for you. And then, of course, the video here is on I call the granddaddy of them all because I'm old. YouTube, JLJ Media. That's where I have a whole playlist of. We have some video. Like this will be up there too. You can check that out also. And I also have a video out episode of me visiting the museum. So I actually show it to you. So you can actually see what I'm talking about. You're just like, I've never seen it before. It's in that playlist also. You can see it. So thank you so much for checking those out. Subscribe, follow them. It's erniepyle.org, right?
Yes.
.org.
His website, www.erniepyle.org. So
check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're thinking I want to funds and want to help them out with that phase 2 and 3 and 4, go there and do it. Tell them James sent you. That's right. That's what everyone have a great couple weeks. We do this bi-monthly. So every 2 weeks this comes out on a Tuesday. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Everybody take care.